everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I've got a really long one for you guys. So 2 weeks ago I decided to start the 100 heads challenge. Don't ask me why. I don't know why I started it, especially in my last week of university, but you know what? I hate myself, so that's what I did. So yeah, I really love drawing faces, and if you follow me for a while, you know that that's like my thing. So I thought this challenge was right down my alley. Basically, the challenge consists of drawing 10 heads a day, so you end up drawing 100 heads in 10 days. The challenge was created by Ahmed Aldoori. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name, by the way. So yeah, he basically created this challenge. There's a video that I'll link to in my description box to his video where he explains the challenge in detail. Basically, you draw 10 heads a day. He has a Pinterest board, which is what I used for this challenge, where he has a bunch of references for each one of your faces, and it's great. It's really easy to do, and what you're meant to do is do like quick studies of each face, so you can like start getting more loose with drawing faces. So yeah, basically if you do faster studies, you're gonna like train your eyes and your brain to observe faces better. And this will like hopefully help you in further drawings in the future. So I started this challenge on the 28th of April and I finished it on the 7th of May, if I'm not wrong. And I'm basically going to be showing you guys my whole process here. I obviously sped up the clips a lot because it is a lot of hours of footage. And yeah, I was using my Seawhite sketchbook that I basically finished with this challenge, and I used a couple of different pencils for these challenges, but mainly I ended up using this black pencil from Faber Castell Polychromos, but obviously everything will be linked down there in the description. So I really wanted to do this challenge because I love drawing faces, and I thought I just felt like I needed to challenge myself with something, considering, you know, is coming to an end with my like university year and everything. So I just felt like I needed something to challenge myself with every day. I ended up regretting my decision very early on. I love drawing faces, but I realized that I don't really enjoy having to draw 10 faces a day, and I put a lot of like thought into drawing faces and my sketches. So it kind of took out a lot of me, so having to draw so many each day. And I realized that maybe I should become a little bit less precious with my sketches because I do, you know, focus so much on them, and maybe I shouldn't be feeling so precious about them. I did start getting a little bit less precious with my drawings by the end because I was more thinking in the sort of making studies kind of mindset rather than having to bang out a perfect face for everyone. But in the beginning, as you can see, I was quite precious, I guess, with every face. So for the first 10 heads, I was like, great, I'm whizzing through this is perfect. And I realized as well, by the way, that during the challenge, the faces start getting more difficult and a lot more variety, different age groups. They start getting more challenging, basically, which I found really interesting. It's that the kind of difficulty throughout his Pinterest board kind of changes. And it's good because I feel like when I got to those faces, I was kind of already at a point where I could draw those faces more easily. For day 2, I used a different pencil. I used one of my Derwent sepia pencils just because I wanted to like kind of put some color into this challenge. I ended up quitting on that dream very early on. Yeah, I realized during this challenge that I don't really draw that much variety of faces, and I thought I did. But when I say variety, I don't mean like ethnicities and stuff like that. I mean like in terms of ages, angles. I guess I draw very similar kind of faces, so like adult faces, and at very specific angles. And I realized that I don't think I've ever drawn an old man before, and I drew so many in this challenge, and I actually really enjoyed it because it's just such a different kind of face and drawing that I just really enjoyed drawing such a different thing that I don't think I would have drawn if it weren't for this challenge. I definitely realized my sort of bias when drawing faces, and I'll definitely be drawing a lot more. In terms of practice, it's perfect. So I'm definitely going to be drawing more like old men and stuff like that. It's great for character design, and I just really, I enjoyed it more than I was expecting. It was kind of like every time I swiped and it was like another old man face, I was like, oh my god, another one of these is going to take me ages. But then when I started it, I actually really was enjoying it. It's just, I don't know, it was something I didn't expect to enjoy and actually liked a lot. There was also a lot of interesting like sculptures during this challenge, which I never thought about like drawing from well, obviously I did because I draw at museums a lot, but not from Pinterest. I never thought of drawing like from reference pictures of sculptures, and it's really interesting because a lot of the sculptures that were down as reference pictures for this challenge were like super characteristic, and the proportions were very different, and it was really interesting. You'll see later what I mean, but they're just very like character-based sculptures, and it was really interesting to draw something that had completely bonkers like proportions. It was really fun, and it just made me a lot less worried about character design, because that's something that I really want to improve in my last year of university, is just kind of working with like making different kinds of characters and not being afraid of breaking proportions. And I feel like this challenge really opened my eyes up to that. So day 3, I used this Faber Castell Polychromos pencil in red. I use this pencil a lot for like sketching and like doing the sketch layer for paintings. So I was like, yeah, let's pop some color in here again. Yeah. Again, the faces were still quite simple and kind of down my comfort zone still for this day, which was good because I was kind of feeling a little bit stressed from university here, and I was like, oh my god, I don't have time for this. So if you're someone that struggles with drawing faces and just you feel like you have same face syndrome or similar face syndrome, I don't know what it's called, but if you feel like you have that and that you struggle with sketching something out freely, I definitely recommend trying out this challenge. Maybe not challenging yourself in terms of time, so like doing the 10 days strictly. I feel like maybe just kind of go through his reference picture folder on Pinterest and challenge yourself to draw those. I really recommend it because it's just so much variety of faces. You kind of end up drawing pretty much everything at the end of this challenge, and it really helps you just freehand stuff by the end. I thought I was good at drawing faces before, but now I just feel like it's so much easier now that I finished the challenge. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like I've gotten so much better at drawing faces. Just because I drew so many, and it kind of becomes automatic, like you just freehand a face easily, like proportions, eyes. It just becomes, you just think a lot less about it, which is great. Yeah, I just feel like my skills just improved so much from doing this challenge, and I really recommend it for anyone that's wanting to challenge themselves and wanting to improve their skills. So for day 4, I kind of wanted to change scenery a little bit. I was kind of sick of having to sit in my room every day for like an hour doing these faces. So I decided to go downstairs and watch a movie while I was doing these with my housemates. And I ended up obviously getting distracted and just doing like, I did like 5 and then I just quit on the dream. And yeah, this clip ended up being like so long, so I had to like tailor it down a little bit because I got so distracted watching the movie, and it was an awkward position to be drawing. Yeah, I kind of just did like 4 faces, not even, I did 3, and then I went back up after the movie and finished these before bed. Also, this is a really good challenge to do like before bed if you want to tire yourself out. it's good. So yeah, this is kind of the day where the faces started to get a little bit more challenging. He started to like put in some different faces to kind of challenge the norm, I guess, of the faces that you've been drawing up to now, which is really good. I also was kind of like, oh, that's Jimin, or Jungkook from BTS. That's a BTS boy. I know that's a BTS boy. I was like, oh, he's here. Crazy. But yeah, this is kind of the day where he started having a lot more beards and like old man faces and wrinkles, and I was like, what is a wrinkle? So it was really interesting to start working myself up to drawing these completely like more robust faces, bigger noses, kind of really furrowed brows. And oh, another thing that I find really good about this challenge is that there's a lot of different expressions as well, which is something that is really important if you want to draw faces and like freehand like different drawings and sketches and stuff, is to obviously know your facial expressions. And I feel like I kind of always go for the same ones, or whenever I try to draw facial expressions, everything always looks a little bit too cartoonish, and that's something that was worrying me. So I'm really grateful that he kind of included so many different facial expressions in that sense. Yeah, day 5 was the halfway point pretty much, which was pretty cool. I was already feeling the, oh my god, why did I decide to do this? I hate myself. My friends all thought I was insane for doing this in the last week of university, and they did not pity me, which is so valid. But yeah, I started to kind of start like freehanding it a little bit more, mainly because I was my hands were cramping a lot more. And it's also like you start, once you get more comfortable with drawing faces, you start freehanding stuff regardless, like whether you want to or not. It just becomes automatic, really. And I really loved this page because of how versatile and how different all the faces were. Like, we had some mad mustaches, some mad beards. It was crazy. I loved it. There was a guy that looked like Thanos, and I was very fragile still, so this was a very intense page for me. For this page, I was using a graphite pencil, actually. I was using one of my not favorite Castell, Arteza Graphite pencils. It's one of my go-tos, which is really cool. So, as you can see, I kind of didn't really use any, like, weird art supplies for this. I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. Also, like, the simpler the art supply, the faster, like, you sketch, and, you know, that's how I do studies, generally. So, I wanted to use something that I'm already comfortable with. I then just went back to my favorite Castell Polychromos and kind of used that one till the end, pretty much. Also, I'm really sorry that a lot of the faces that I'm drawing were out of frame from the camera. I was so focused on doing the drawings that I completely forgot to look up at the camera and check if the drawings were in focus. They weren't. I'm so sorry, but you'll get to see them at the end, because I'm gonna do a flip through all of the 100 faces. Oh, also, I numbered all the faces so that at the end I could kind of go back and look at which ones were my favorites, which ones I found the most challenging, and which ones I liked the most, pretty much. Like, day 6, there we go. So we were past the halfway point. I was exhausted, not from this challenge specifically, but I was like, yeah, great, gonna whack this out so I can go do uni work. And I actually used a random graphite pencil that I had around the house. It was like a 2B or something, or 2HB. So it was kind of really light, and I'm not really used to using that much of a hard lead, so I don't know why I did that. I just had it was like right in front of me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just use this today. What I do a lot when I'm doing these kinds of studies is I always have something playing in the background, whether it's like a podcast or like a YouTube video or for a lot of these instances, Game of Thrones, because I was catching up on the episodes I missed out. Yeah, this is kind of the page where all these crazy like facial expressions started to come out. So there was this crazy guy, number 54, was it? Yeah, he's going insane. Like, look at that face. That one took me quite a while because I've never drawn anything that crazy. And then number 55 was one of those like sculpture things that kind of reminded me a lot of Groot for some reason. He just looked like a tree. So it had a lot of these like crazy proportions and expressions, and I found it so interesting to do these because I've never drawn anything like it, literally. And it just really put me out of my comfort zone, which is kind of what I wanted with this challenge, and I'm very happy that it did. It kind of makes you realize how you probably thought you were great at doing this thing, and then you get challenged to do something in that realm, and you're like, turns out I'm not that amazing at this. Day 7 was the day of beards, I think. It was quite insane. I think for day 7, I was catching up on a day that I didn't do it, so I did actually fail this talent challenge a little bit. One of the days, I was just like, I can't be asked, so I didn't do it on one day, so then on the next day I had 20 faces to draw, which killed me, by the way. If you're going to do this challenge, please stick to it, because oh my god, if you let it go for a couple of days and you've got like 30 faces to draw, you will want to end it all. So I think this was the day that I had 20 faces to draw, and I was whacking them out. It was going crazy. So for number 63, there was this crazy orc face. Like, it reminded me a lot of the orcs from Lord of the Rings, and it was pretty cool. Not Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, sorry. And there was this crazy face. There was like this demon head, and then there was a like little fawn kind of, which was number 69. There's a lot of crazy like character fantasy faces in this one. There was literally Gandalf, a picture of Gandalf. So that explains it. So I found this one very helpful in terms of like drawing fantasy stuff, because if you don't know, I am a D&D player, so I do enjoy D&D, and I always find it like difficult starting to draw like something for our campaign or something, where I'm like, I don't know how to draw this character. And everything turns out really cartoonish because I'm kind of winging it. So this is it was kind of like an eye-opener. Like, I should probably practice more fantasy faces and stuff like that. This challenge made me realize how I just don't draw anything like fantasy related, and how simple my like OCs and characters that I create are, which is okay. It's fine by me, because that's kind of what I like personally, but it would be interesting to be able to freehand more fantasy stuff like this. I actually have a book that I got recently, which is like an illustration guide to like mystical beings and stuff like that, so I should probably actually open that and read that. Yeah, number 68 was pretty cool as well. It had some interesting shapes. It looked a lot like some characters from stop motion films that I love, which was cool. And this caricature for number 70 was super cool as well. It completely threw proportions out of the ring. It was pretty interesting to draw as well. I don't know how to do caricatures at all, so that was interesting. And now we're getting to, what is it, day 8? Day 8! Yeah, day 8. Well, actually, day 8, it was the same day that I was filming the day 7 one, so they were both day 8, you know, so we're not going to talk about it. I don't really have anything else to talk about for these days. I kind of started, you know, I'm starting to have to concentrate a little bit more on them, because all these faces are starting to get really difficult, and a lot of like things that I've never drawn before, so I was very rusty, but it was getting more challenging but also more interesting. and the challenge wasn't just me sitting there and like labor work having to draw a lot of faces. It was more of like a study session, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, there's a lot of crazy heads that I had to draw for day 8. This page on the right, the 70s, the 75 or 76 to 80 were insane, by the way. They took me so long to do because I was just, what is happening with these faces? There was just some crazy expressions, crazy proportions. Like number 78 was insane, and 76 as well, and 80 as well. Like, Jesus, look at that face. I've never drawn anything like this. They were very borderline like caricature as well, which is like something I'm not used to doing at all. And this kind of just kept going for the 80s and the 90s, which was pretty cool, but also insane. Like these kind of caricature-y faces, and they were actually, a lot of these faces were actual like pots and vases. If you ever do the challenge, you'll see what I mean in the reference pictures. They were just sculptures that weren't meant to be accurate like to real life, which was pretty cool. They were all like meant to be pots and vases, which is why they had such weird shapes and stuff like that, and it was just really interesting to draw something so out of my comfort zone and I'd never even thought about before. Yeah, number 84 was super fun. He had a really cool face. It was really interesting how you go from like a face like 84 to 85, the one I'm drawing right now, which a lot of these reference pictures I've actually used before, and I was like, oh, I know you. So it's really crazy going from one to another. They're so contrasting. And then there was an elf for number 86, which was really cool because it kind of looks like my D&D character, and I was like, oh my god, it's my queen. And this one, 87, is kind of what I meant in terms of like crazy like face angles and stuff. I had such a hard time with number 87 because I was like, I can barely see what's happening, and you can tell it looks whack. It looks insane. It was just a really insane picture. And then yeah, I was just like, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna leave it as is. So this is where I started getting a little less precious with all my drawings and just being like, yeah, this is a study, let's whack it out quick. And they started taking me a lot less time, which is great because my deadline was approaching for my last uni project. But yeah, the faces just started having a lot more crazy stuff happen with them. And now for the last day. We were grateful that we were getting to the end. Yeah, I was kind of feeling how different I was drawing faces at this point. I realized how much faster and quicker and less scared of drawing a different face was. So like, it wasn't as taunting looking up a face that was like super out of my comfort zone, being like, oh, I don't know. So it was kind of the day that I was realizing how much I've improved in the last 10 days. So that was really cool. I was just kind of whacking out these faces like left and right. I was like, this is easy peasy. I know a wrinkle, I know a beard, I know what's happening. Let's go. And I was also really proud of myself that I actually made it in 10 days. And I was just really happy. I really, really recommend this challenge to anyone that is wanting to challenge themselves or wants to just draw a bunch of faces. If you don't know where to start in terms of references for drawing faces, this is definitely a really good place to start. His Pinterest board I'll leave down there in the description, obviously, and challenge and the video that he did about it. And yeah, I hope you guys try this out. I know I didn't sell it that much because I said, oh my god, I want to die, but it wouldn't be a challenge if I didn't kind of hate it a little bit at some point. And also, don't do it in your last week of university, okay? Like, don't be dumb like me. A couple of these faces at the end I added in myself because I don't know how, I must have skipped something and I didn't have 100 faces, so I had to add these last 2 or 3, but that's fine, I still did 100 heads. Number 100, Donnerini. So yeah, now I'm going to give you guys a little rundown of the 100 heads that I did, and you can kind of see the sort of gradual improvement, I hope, or the gradual changes in how I sketch these faces. I definitely started taking a lot less time to do them by the end. I was doing them a lot faster and with a lot less like anxiety, I guess. So personally, that was the changes that I saw. Sorry for the super long video, guys, but I did draw 100 faces, you know? So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you didn't mind me rambling for half an hour. And yeah, thank you so much for watching if you're still here, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye!